Mhm. This elections, yes. There's candidates for nomination, yeah. Primary election, and then there's campaigning, and then a general election, yes. And then you have a new mayor. There's steps in a local election, yes. As I understand it, we're changing some sort of voting requirements or something. Yeah. The United States Supreme Court. Yeah. How are they? See, it steps in a presidential election, right? Selection of state delegates, ooch, national party conventions, right? Party candidates, campaigning, the electoral college, and a new president and vice president. Oh, now the Electoral College, the people do not vote directly for president and vice president. Instead, they vote for electors. Yeah. Constitution says that each state is to choose a number of electors equal to the number of its representatives in Congress, plus its two senators. Now, the authors of the Constitution believe that the two chief officials should be chosen by a small group of leaders capable of picking the best qualified person. Yeah. Now, it was a nice plan, but it did not work. At the start, everyone agreed that George Washington was the man for the presidency. All the electors voted for him in two elections. After that, difficulties began to appear. Originally, yeah, in a number of states, the electors were chosen by state legislatures. Now the voters choose the electors from a party slate, or list. Now, in some states, the names of electors do not even appear on the ballots. In any event, these electors are chosen whose party wins most of the votes in the state. Some states have laws that they must vote for the candidates of their party. Even when there is no such law, they almost always vote for their party's candidates. Recently, a movement has developed in some states to have a slate of electors, which is not pledged to party candidates. Now, these electors, yes. I just wondered who they are for the last 40 years. I had looked at Washington State's electoral vote. Yes. hmm And it seemed to me that they were doing something kind of weird. Yeah. hmm Now, Grover Cleveland, however, Harrison won 233 electoral votes for 106 to Cleveland. Yes. Now, oh, look at the electoral college. Is that the number that you get? Let's see. California has 40 of them. Yeah. hmm And indirect elections, the official is not elected by the voter. He is chosen by the person who have been so elected. Yes. Referendum, plebiscites, other elections. Ooh. Oh, labor unions elect officers and hold elections to pass on agreements with employers. Yeah. Why don't we get all of those in the labor unions that are elected to office? See, I did look at the unions, the teachers union. Yes. I would think the teachers union. Well, the whole knowledge of exploitation of children while in school. Yes. And then there, well, just go through the unions and get the actual individuals elected to office. Yes. And then get the employees of the individual unions. Yes. That to pass on agreements with employers. The kind of election is supervised by an agency of the federal government. Oh, is that right? And now, a paper called a proxy, which says how the signers' votes are to be cast. Yeah. Now, these are stockholder elections. Yes. Will have as many votes as he has shares of stock in the company. Some big companies have thousands of stockholders who live throughout the world. Oh. Most of them cannot attend such a meeting. A stockholder therefore may ask someone who will be at the meeting to cast his votes for him. Could you get me all the publicly listed companies that have stockholder meetings? Yes. Where your percentage of ownership of the actual stock allows for you to proxy vote. Now, I did do a little study about this while I was a financial consultant. Microsoft, yes. Apple, Alphabet. Let's say, yes, that the individuals that actually own stock in your company found out that there's a new technology that makes semiconductor chips out of desalinated salt. Yes. And your company refuses to acknowledge the rights of myself to innovate and manufacture that. Now, I would say as corporations, you have some liability for obstructing the innovating of new technologies that would be in direct competition, yes, to the products that you have been selling to the rest of the world. Now, these individuals known as stockholders, yeah, give me the percentage of the actual voting authority that they have as stockholders of General Electric, yes, of Microsoft, yeah, IBM, ooh, maybe Alphabet, oh, Apple Computer Company. In fact, we were looking at the various silicon semiconductors. You know, as a voter in the corporate decision making of technology companies, yes, obstructing my right to desalinate water because of the incentives of governments, yes, where I get the salt, obviously they wanted the electricity, yeah, and I decided I'd give them the water, yeah, because they were concerned about green electricity production, yeah. Now I mentioned Taiwan. I was just thinking of Egypt. Yes, could you get me the government? I could have been wrong in that you changed it from 4 years to 6 years as being a term for president. Yes. And the voters voted for that, and you thought, well, I'm good to go for the next 2 terms. Poop. You know, I would think Egypt, yes, would be in need of electricity, yes. And if that nation was to give me an incentive because of the 100% markup, yeah, they might get some water out of the deal too. Now, let's say that governments, that incentive, oh, ooh, ooh, for every corporation that refuses to really acknowledge the competitors that they should be having. Yes, yes, yes. I think I can sue you as corporations for not informing the stockholders about the potential of competition. Yes, for your operating systems. Yes. Now there's Dell Computer. Yes. There's HP. Oh, Fiorni. Oh. And then there's Gateway that for somehow didn't make it, but I've always owned gateways, and I asked Hu Jintao. Yes, since he's the innovator of the operating system, could you consider buying Gateway as a hardware manufacturer for the gender specific computing that I think that governments will want to purchase? Now, I wanted them as to be able to manufacture the actual hardware. Yes, you did. And then there's the cell phones. Yes. Could you get the iPhone, Apple computer? Poop. I know it looks sleek, okay? But I wanted gender specific computing. Yes. Gender specific cell phones. Yes, you did. A rugged cell phone for a man. Looks like a lipstick case for a woman. Now, let's say I had the availability of a desalinated salt chip. Yes. That made batteries last longer, possibly multiple days. And that it did allow for the 5G to work a lot more efficiently. Why don't you go ahead and give me the stockholders of all my competitors? There could be some monopolization lawsuits. I mean, you know, half a trillion dollars, depending on the corporation, where I could sue you as corporate. Oh,